Hey there, good evening. Nice to see you. It's time for the Bronx Buzz, BronxNet's program where we talk to reporters, writers, journalists, talk show hosts. He said that advisedly. And in our second segment, we usually do an arts and performance segment, and we're going to one of the best arts facilities, schools, galleries in our beautiful home borough of the Bronx. But right now, a friend, a colleague, an advisor, somebody who I respect more than most of the people that I know. And it is my buddy, Rhina Valentin, our Cafe con Leche. And nice to see you, Rhina, darling.
Thank you. Thank
I,
you
don't-
for having me.
I
And
don't
thank you
call
for
every
that
guest.
introduction.
What's that?
I said thank you for that introduction.
Oh, of course. I don't call every guest darling, but we've been friends. My goodness, it's 20 something years. Who knows? Who cares?
Hey, no dating me like that on
Oh
air.
goodness, that's right. Anyway, so the reason that Rena is here, she is a journalist, a talk show host, a personality, and everything. She went to the White House, and I saw it on Facebook because we're our Facebook friends. And I said, Rena, we've got to tell this wonderful story. Why did you go to the White House?
So, and thank you for inviting me to share this story
It's a
because
great
it
story.
it is. I mean, even for me, I'm still in awe over the adventure because for me, that's what it was because it was a 1 day trip. It was like get there, attend the event, and then have to come back because I had open the following day. It was on Thursday, February
Hmm.
27th of 2024, and it was the inaugural celebration of Afro-Latinidad in the White House.
Wow. And did that invitation come from the president or his staff or the vice president or like it's just part of their programs? I mean, how did that happen?
So I received an email from the actual White House.
Wow.
I received an
Dear Rena.
with the White House logo on it.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I looked at this email, I said, "Is this correct? Is this for real?" Right?
Yeah, right.
And so I RSVP'd right away just to see what kind of response I would get. And sure enough, it was real and non-transferable, I might add.
I'm
Um,
sure.
yeah, they had
I
very
don't want to go. Gary can go instead. Yeah, all right. That doesn't work.
yeah, I don't know if you could pass for Afro Latino, Gary.
Yeah, probably not. This Jewish boy from Van Cortlandt Village. Yes, okay.
You're like, yeah, but I'm down with it. I'm down.
Right, I would have. Anyway, so they were having a celebration. You were going to be one of the people, a part of that celebration.
Yes. So I was part of this cohort, right? And I'm calling us class of 2024 because we actually took a photo together
Wow.
on the steps of the White House.
I mean, what could be more thrilling? Had you ever been to the White House, like as a tourist or anything?
Not inside, never.
Wow,
On
that
the
must have been
outside.
amazing. So then, what was the program like?
So the program, first of all, I want to add that I really didn't know what to expect, and
Right,
they were very secretive about the way they handled matters. We did
I'm
not
sure.
receive information until the day before, which was like really teeth grinding because I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah, what do I have to be
I don't know what
prepared
I'm
for?
doing."
Yeah. Now, did you travel alone, or did you travel with others who were coming
I
from New
I
York?
traveled alone, and I was really like frustrated because it took place on a Thursday, as I mentioned, and I would have loved to have spent the night uh,
Right.
to make life easy for me. But I
Make
am a
make make
mama.
a day of it. Make a weekend of it. Yeah.
I even proposed to my daughter if she'd be interested in coming with me because she was on midwinter recess as well.
Ah, right. At that part of February. Yeah.
She wasn't interested because she's not happy with our current climate. Uh,
We should put underneath commentary, but that's okay.
and she's only 14.
Yeah, right. Well, look at who mom is.
Yeah.
So you got in. I'm sure security was interesting to say the least.
I had to go through like three different securities to get in.
You want to hear a White House story, a funny White House story,
Or
which I'll do real quick because it's your spotlight today. But many, many years ago, we took our kids to the White House, and I had gone to get a bagel beforehand, and they wrapped it in aluminum foil, and I stuck. It was cold, so it was a winter coat, and I stuck it in my winter coat pocket. So as we were going through, and this is well before 9/11, and it's years ago, they wanted me, and the bagel made like noise in the
it
in the
went off because
system.
it's
It
metal.
went off,
Right.
and I was like, because I was daddy with the kids, I was like goofing around, like woo woo, like it was tickling or something, and the FBI agents or the Secret Service over there, they didn't take too kindly to it. They were basically, dude, shut up. We're going to take care of this. They went and they pulled it out and they opened up the bagel. They took the aluminum foil. They put the. Anyway, that's my security story at the White
Oh
House.
my gosh, did they investigate the cream cheese and everything too?
That's why there's like a little camera in my doorway because they're watching me still. Anyway, so you got through security. 3 different people took care of you.
Not 3 different people, 3 different like sections that
Stations.
I
Wow.
had to go through, like I want to say the general entry,
Right.
and then the private entry, and then the actual building entry, and passes were
Right.
were
And
distributed.
and so let's get into the White House. It was gorgeous. It was amazing. It was breathtaking. I'm giving all the words that you're thinking. I know.
It was surreal for me. I was like, okay, so because of the timely manner in which everything was occurring, right? The actual event itself took place. The arrival was from 3:30 to 4. The event itself took place at 4, and it ended by like 6 o'clock, right? And
Right.
so it was almost like a quick. I couldn't really allow myself. I wanted to like
You wanted a
wander.
tour, yeah, yeah. Well, they're not letting you wander alone. I can promise you that.
Yeah,
But
no,
did you get to see like it was in one of the reception rooms or
it was actually in the library.
in the library?
Yeah, and please, everyone, do not be mistaken. The library is like the size of my apartment.
Yeah,
No,
or bigger.
even
Yeah,
bigger.
it's
Yeah,
the
even
White
bigger.
House Library.
Yeah, it was.
And who spoke and there were people. I mean, it was inspirational. I mean, I'd like to think that the event itself
It
was
was
was pretty
really
good.
well curated. It was well curated. I want to say the head person, her name was Sol Ortega. Well, at least that's the person who I was corresponding with.
Right.
As far as the invitation and the confirmations and all of that, she was my point person. I know there was a team that put this together. The main speakers were all of Afro-Latino descent, or of Afro-Latinidad, from Central America, South America. They had 3-time Emmy winner Sunny Hostin from the
Oh, right.
ABCU.
Wow.
She spoke. There was Gina Torres, who is an actress and producer. She currently is part of that series Suits. And then their moderator was actually Maria Rosario Jackson, who is the chair of the National Endowment for the Arts.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just curious. Do you have a sense? I mean, listen, we'd like to think that they watch Bronx television from the White House.
Right.
Where you showed up, like on their list, or did they say, "Let's find a woman in the Bronx"? Because of course we are the home of Latin America, practically.
I asked, I
Oh,
asked,
you
I
did.
I asked Sol when I met her. I said, "How did you find me?" She said, "People came recommended through our associates,"
Wow.
and that's all I got.
I get chills from that because that arena that just means the footprint that you wonder if you ever made, you actually made, and that's confirmation. Did you get the sense that I'm assuming it doesn't happen in the White House unless the president and his staff endorse it? Do you get the sense that they did this because they understood the various issues and they wanted to give voice to those issues?
So initially, I will be honest, I was a little hesitant, right? Because I too am not happy with the current climate. I'm a humanitarian,
Don't we know it?
teacher. And I'm just going to leave it there because I don't really want to get into the politics of that. But
Mhm.
I did feel that there was this sense of familiarizing ourselves with the various identities that come with the different shades of melanin.
I'm
understand?
absorbing that. Me, I'll always react right away, but I'm absorbing that. So your sense is that they just want that the White House, and of course that goes all the way up to the president, wanted to represent this segment for the right reasons. You felt like the speeches were on point, and all because I know you. If you didn't like them, we'd know 'em. You'd be telling us about
Right. I would be making other commentary.
it. Yes.
But I really appreciated the way it was curated, the speakers, what they spoke of,
Mhm.
and even the entertainment because we got to dance, we got to
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
yeah.
And who was it recorded music or they had somebody playing?
No, we
Playing?
had a live musician. His name is
Wow.
Mauro Castillo. He's a composer. He's actually the composer for the hit song "We Don't Talk About Bruno." Everybody
Yes.
knows Lin Manuel Miranda in
Right.
that, but this was the actual composer, and he actually.
Oh, the composer. Wow.
Hmm.
Fantastic.
Uh-huh. And
And
so
and
I learned
and
something all the time.
all women, all Latina? Oh,
No, so we have Mauro is a gentleman, and
right.
Simafunk is an Afro-Cuban rock star, and then the other speaker was Paige Hurd. Now, Mauro Castillo performed with his band, and he
Yeah.
had a full band, and he even provided this taste of folklore fused with salsa. And perhaps we'll be able to show it because I was able to capture a video of this instrument. It kind of reminds me of vibes, but it's wood, so I don't know the name of it, but
We'll get Bobby Sanabria. We'll show him a picture of it, and he'll tell you what it is.
exactly.
I mean, what can I tell you? Listen, well, you know that we're subject to the clock here, and we were joking with our producer Anderson before. You and I could sit here for 4 hours, but just summarize in terms of the rest of your life. Maybe you'll get invited back. I mean, we're going to keep working hard. But what's the impact that had and has? Is there a lasting impact of something like this, not only culturally and who you identify with, but also that you went through this kind of very cool thing? I think it's pretty cool.
Thank you for asking that, Gary, because I walked away knowing and feeling uh, really special in knowing more than anything, I was part of the first group to represent this Afro-Latinidad celebration at the White House. And the conversations that were conducted were geared towards the our differences and our similarities for that matter. But that it really came from this place of unifying. And
Wow.
that was really, really special. And I was so proud.
That's great. So now, Rhina, just beautiful. I'm so glad that I don't know what you're going to say about it on open, whether you will or you won't, but we gave you the opportunity to do it on our home station in our home borough, which we are both and all of us quite dedicated to. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Be well. And the next time you go to the White House, say, I have a friend named Gary. He wants to come too. But we'll see you around town, darling. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you once again for having me, Gary.
Okay, always. All right, we're going to gather ourselves back together after there's somewhat emotional visit with our friend, and we'll go to the Bronx River Art Center right after this. Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. What a treat to have Rhina Valentin on the show. But right now, we're going to go to, as I mentioned, one of the best art of facilities of every sort in the Bronx. It's just an incredible structure over there in West Farms, and they do some great stuff. Let's say hello to curator Jordan Horton. Nice to see you again, Jordan.
Hi, Gary. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And she brought along with her, Edgar Santana. Nice to see you, Edgar.
Hi, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Edgar is a photographer. So, Jordan, tell me about Ingenuity, Art and Entrepreneurship of the Bronx. This is the new show that's going on over there through April, the beginning of April.
Sure. Well, I think all is in the name, and we're talking about the line between photography and making photography or a way of life, a way of living, and the ingenuity that it takes for that to happen. And so throughout the show, we have six photographers, born either from the Bronx or based in the Bronx, who are kind of inspired from their surroundings of looking at street life, looking at the people, places, and things that make the Bronx of what it is.
I got the names right here, so let's shout out to everybody. It is Stephanie Ayala, Michael Paul Brito, Lisa Dubois, Edgar Santana, who's here, Jose Tutevin, and Yomar Mesvida. Did I get that right? Velez, who are the artists. But tell me about this idea now. Ingenuity, I get when you're talking about photography, and other artwork. Ingenuity, I get, but talk about art and entrepreneurship in the
Sure.
Bronx. What is the connection there? And then, as a curator, how do you find material to, that defines that?
Yeah, so a part of our exhibition is also to offer up Brack's workspace, to give the artists in the show space to either take meetings, to set up photo shoots, or just to use that space to conduct business. And so we wanted to, have a gallery show and a think tank kind of parallel, sort of as like a temporary residency for the duration of the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. So you're saying it's kind of an organic thing, and it kind of goes, it grows or changes over time. And did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting.
And along with that, how I found the artist, which kind of you know flows deeper into that ingenuity and entrepreneurship, is especially shout outs to the Bronx Art Council, in which they have a database stored of Bronx artists, and
Right.
which I found these six great photographers, as long as many other great artists who are working in the area. And so I wanted it to be kind of a mutual symbiotic community based show.
Wow, fantastic. Edgar, let's bring you into the conversation a little bit about you and photography.
Yeah, so born and raised in the Bronx. I currently live in the Woodlawn section of the Bronx. I've been capturing Bronx images probably for the past 15 years. My handles on Instagram are Santana, as well as Cars of the Bronx. I capture vintage cars within the borough,
Wow.
and to date, I've captured close to 2,000 cars within the borough. And again,
That
these are
is,
all vintage cars.
and you do you do something with them, or it's just you enjoy it and that's what you do? I mean,
I've
sounds to me
always,
like you do that. You could be part of a whole sales and talk about entrepreneurship
I've
and do the whole thing.
I've had numerous people reach out to me, asking me to be like a headhunter for them. if I
Wow.
if I come across any vintage car, like they
A
would,
certain
you
type
know,
of car.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So most of the
That is
cars that I
fascinating.
capture
Mhm.
are either from the 60s, 70s, or 80s. I don't go anything newer than that. But again, it's a beautiful thing to find a vintage car in the wild, parked along a street
In the
somewhere.
wild. Well, the
Yeah,
Bronx
that's how
is
I
the
call it.
wild. Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
behind me. The Bronx
yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
wild.
Well,
Uh,
unfortunately, there's no more Orchard Beach car show, so that's why I
oh,
find them
that's
in the
right
wild.
too. Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
But let's just talk about photography.
Sure.
When did you get started? When was the first time you
I
had a
would say
camera in your hand and said, "I like this"?
yeah. I've always been into photography. I would say about 15 years ago, I just started, carrying around a small point and shoot camera, just capturing moments of family, my food, what I was eating, things like that, silly things. But
Sounds
then
like you.
once,
Sounds like you would be the kind of guy who predated the cell phone, and you said, "Gee,
yeah,
if only
yeah,
we had
actually.
a cell phone, I could take pictures of my dinner and everywhere I'm
Yeah,
going to party and
silly
everything."
things that people do
Yeah,
now.
right.
But once Instagram became an app that became available, I felt like it was an app and an option for me to actually share my photos.
Well, now that's
So
interesting.
once I started sharing my photos, it just kind of took off, and I got inspired by other people that I was following, and one of them being Toots, one of my friends that's in the show.
Oh, who's in the show? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I just read the name Toots.
yeah, and again, I was just inspired by other photographers, specifically in the Bronx, and it's just it's important for us to preserve the ever-changing landscape, and that's why I really focus on the borough, and so do a lot of other of my fellow photographers.
Your statement about that is exactly why my buddy Gail and Jordan over there at the Bronx River Art Center do what they do, because when you bring together, all of a sudden there's a mutual bit of inspiration. Jordan, we have 3 photographs to show. These are all in the show at the Bronx River Art Center.
Yeah.
Edgar, are you ready?
I am.
Let's tune up the magic box and show everybody some of your work.
Thank you.
All right. I saw this photograph and I'm like, whoa. Who is this? Where is this? What is this?
So this was actually right in front of the Bronx Documentary Center. This was a gentleman that was outside on his bike, and he was, dressed in his biker gear. And I had asked him if I could take his photo. I did. I really didn't like the way the portrait came out, but he had great rings. So I said, you know what? Can I get a photo of your hands? And he posed, and that's the outcome.
Well, let's put that back up if you would. As far as a photograph, did you do anything scientific, or is it as scientific as just hold it up and get a kind of a good frame?
Absolutely nothing scientific. I don't edit my photos. This image was captured on 35 millimeter film. So nothing done scientific. I don't Photoshop any photos. It's just completely organic.
I was going to ask you about that. A lot of people like you have been doing photography since before we had digital photography. Do you love the new digital age? Because I know there are some photographers who say, I'd rather really play with it, and, as opposed to having a device like this device that can just take pictures anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Digital photography is fine because obviously it captures very images that maybe you take an image and you don't like it, you get to take it over again.
Right.
I've been capturing analog photography, solely 35 millimeter film, the last 4.5 years now.
Wow.
And it's
and then you still, I hate to say, then you go and pay and get it developed.
I do.
Wow,
it's an expensive hobby.
Respect.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby. But it is something that I enjoy because it's a challenge. When you take the image, you don't know what you're going to get until it's actually developed. So I feel it makes you a better photographer.
Let's, Jordan, if you will, let's let him show us a couple more photos there.
Absolutely.
Oh, and this is not a picture of an antique car.
No, it is it's an image that's on Westchester Avenue off of Westchester Square. This image was taken last summer. It's a gentleman walking, and it was just great lighting, just the shadows, and of course his outfit. It looked almost like he stepped out of an early '80s movie set. So he just happened to walk by, and again, this image is also captured on 35 millimeter film. And I just love the way it came out because of it's very Bronx. It's very Bronx.
Well, of course, with the train behind him and a man walking alone. You talked about the lighting. What's interesting to me about that lighting, a lot of times when you get somebody in a shadow and you get light behind it, you, without really playing with it, you can't get a good picture. But
correct.
Right. All right.
Yeah, it was just one of those days that just had great lighting, and
fantastic.
I got lucky.
And this is, by the way, for folks, this is only a sample of the many. Jordan, how many works are up there? Do you know?
I would say like around 40.
40. So we're just showing you a couple. All right, let's do one more. Speaking of antique cars.
So this is a car. Yes,
this
is
a Chevy. Yeah,
it's a Chevy Impala. This actually was taken on Randall's Island about 2 years ago. This is a lowrider meet.
I don't know what that means, but you can see that it's a low rider, I guess.
Right. Low riders are popular in California. They have hydraulics. And this car in particular has hydraulics, meaning it goes up and down.
Do you know a lot about, I guess you would know a lot about cars.
I do. I mean, I've always been into cars since I was younger, matchbox cars and remote control cars. So I've kind of, really tend to love cars and they're beautiful. They're, especially the older ones. They're really, they definitely don't make them like they used to.
I want to get back to Jordan, and I want to just promote this gallery. But looking at that car, it reminded me in my parking lot where I park my car. It's an outdoor lot. There's a guy who has this old Ford that he keeps in immaculate
Oh my God,
condition.
you got to give me the address.
Well, there you go. I'll talk to him first. But he, on the nastiest days, he's out there polishing, and the thing is perfect looking. And when he revs it up, it's anyway. Jordan. So let's go. Let's get people out there. You had the opening already in February, but this goes till April 26th. Here's a description I want to read deliberately. In the vibrant tapestry of global culture, the Bronx emerges as a guiding light, offering invaluable cues and boundless inspiration to all seeking to weave their creativity and innovation narrative. So, right, that's what you think about every day.
Yeah, or at least it was very easy to think about during the show. Um, as there were six artists in the show, it was really interesting to parse out themes of similar things that they were all taking photos of, if, whether it be delis or hands or parades that are happening in the city. It's interesting to see the common interests and inspirations that serve
Yeah.
through all of the artists and what really make the borough special.
And when you walk in, and if you're surrounded by 40 photographs of the Bronx of all different types, you start to get a feeling, oh, this is, it represents who we really are. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Certainly, people can see through Edwin's photographs. So when is it open? Now the Bronx River Art Center is in West Farms, and people can just stop in, right?
Yeah, you can stop right in. I would say 10:30 to 5, and the show's open till April 6th.
Till April 6th. And Edwin, for you, do you show in galleries at all, or it's
Um,
more just kind of
I have.
hobby?
No, I have. This is actually the second time I've showed at the BRAC. The first time was about 4 years ago. This summer, I was part of a group exhibition at the Bronx Documentary Center for the Everyday Bronx team.
Right.
So I've exhibited a few times. That's more my goal, to try and get my more
Get out
photos
there.
out there, and eventually a book. But that's very difficult to do.
And then when that book comes out, you say, "Hey, Gary, let me come on the Bronx Buzz and come talk
Absolutely.
about
Absolutely. You'll be
the
number one on my list.
numero uno." Yeah. Edwin, good luck.
Thank
Keep
you.
going. Stay in
I
touch.
appreciate it.
I know we will be in touch. And Jordan, do you have an idea what the next show is, or we got to get through this one first?
Yeah, we gotta get through this one,
All
but
right,
we'll
fair enough.
definitely keep you updated.
And when you get the new show, you'll say, "Hey, Gary, we want to come on the Bronx Buzz and shout." And that's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you both, because without the arts and without our culture, we ain't got nothing in this borough, and we have so much of it, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you so much, Bronx River
Absolutely.
Art Center. Okay, that, ladies and germs, I hate saying that, and I say it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be the end of the Bronx Buzz for this evening. We thank Rhina Valentin, who is just such a great person, and both Jordan and Edgar. And we'll see you next week. If the curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise, yes, we'll be back. Good night.